my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're going to look at the Diamond Select, the real Ghostbusters Ray Stantz action figure. This is from Series 10 of the Diamond Select Ghostbusters line, the final series to complete the Ghostbuster Firehouse front diorama. Really excited to finally put this together. It's been probably 2 years in the works. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging. It's got the purple, blue, real Ghostbuster sort of look. Of course, we've got the figure in here. He's got extra hands, proton pack, trap, PKE meter, and diorama piece in the background. Nothing on this side, nothing on the top. This side's got a picture of the figure. And on the back, you see the rest of the wave being Mr. Stay Puft, Peter Venkman, and Ray Stantz here. Really excited to finally have all four of these Ghostbusters together, and more so excited to put this diorama together, the finishing touches. You can see it's missing a little bit still. So with no further ado, let's open this guy up, check out how awesome he is. Here is a look at the figure with all of his accessories laid out that he comes with, and he does come with quite a bit. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the figure for a second. First of all, I had my Series 10 pre-order from Amazon.com a really long time ago. I pre-ordered them pretty much as soon as the listing went up, and they were due out February 27th, I believe, which was 2 weeks after they were actually hitting retail street date. I only got the Marshmallow Man shipped out. The other two were apparently delayed till an unknown time in the future. I waited. They were not coming out. I ended up finding them at AtomicEmpire.com for $22 each, which was even cheaper than Amazon. With the shipping, I actually paid $49 shipped, which was a few cents less than I would have paid at Amazon, which is kind of amusing, and I got them faster. Apparently I had an account at that website, and I had made an order there over 10 years ago, so kind of amusing. In addition to that, these guys here are cashing in on the nostalgia of the real Ghostbusters. This is not a throwback Kenner figure, although it almost seems like it is, but it's just a figure based off the cartoon show. As a kid, I watched that cartoon show quite a bit, and so this figure does hit a special place in my heart, and I also had the Kenner figures, all of them as a kid. So let's check this guy out. Here it is, Ray, a little chubby, I love it, orange hair, I think it looks really good, orange eyebrows, the smile on his face, the kind of chunky cheeks. I think he looks really cool, very reminiscent of how he looked in the cartoon. Of course, you got the gray uniform. This one is the closest to the, when I say gray, I meant tan. This is the closest they have to the movie versions, almost exactly colored the same. And we're going to compare them in a little bit. It does have proton pack, which is considerably different than the movie versions. And as far as his accessories as a whole, he's got his proton pack, which is removable. He's got the big diorama piece, but we'll look at that a little later. He's got a PKE meter, trap, a unique colored proton stream, which I think is pretty cool, and then 6 different interchangeable hands. So first of all, let's look at his hands. He's got 2 hands here, which are semi-open, and they're not wearing gloves. In addition to that, he's got 4 gloved hands. He's got 2 of them which are semi-open and can definitely hold something. This will probably be my default right hand, as he can hold his proton weapon that way. And then he's got 2 which are similar to his ungloved hands, and they're semi-open. I'll probably use one of those and one of these to support his proton hand as my default hands. So let's put those on. Alright, now I've swapped out his hands. You can see here I used the one to hold the proton pack as well as the open one to support it. I must say, as I was swapping them out, it was very easy and painless. The peg came right out, no problem. Nothing was stuck. I have had previous Ghostbusters figures where I tried to swap out the hands, try to twist them off or pull them out, and the peg simply broke inside of there, which is extremely disappointing, causing you to possibly have to cut off the peg of the hand you want to glue it in there, which is really frustrating. So they've definitely improved their quality control over the hands over the years. And then here he is holding the proton pack with his hand supporting it, with his alternate hands swapped out. Now to put the extra hands into my huge fodder pile of extra action figure limbs and accessories. Next, let's check out his PKE meter. This is definitely different from the movie version. It's an animated type, blue, a little bigger, got nice details on it. I had one of these. I think it was a Kenner Toy as a kid, that sort of life-size, sort of cosplay. Always brings back some good memories. Now this is going to be identical to the ones that came with the other Ghostbusters. All 4 of these guys will come with trap, proton pack, and PKE meter, which I think is pretty cool. And it's considerably different from the movie version. It's quite a bit larger and a little bit more cartoony. Here is the movie version. You can see the differences. And then here he is holding his PKE meter, taking some readings, looking for paranormal activity out and about. Next, let's look at his trap. Before I unwind this trap and start showing it off, I do want to point out that it can actually holster onto his proton pack, which is pretty cool. There's a little hole in the back here. It's a little easier to do while the wire is wound up before I start pulling it out. And bam, it can fit on here just fine, which is actually, I think, super cool. It's able to holster both his proton weapon and his trap. The trap itself is pretty cool. You can see the blue color, yellow and black design up front, has a place you can hold it. Of course it has the pedal too. Put it down here, Ray's able to step on this, opens up, it takes in the ghost. I also had a large one of these as a kid. It had sort of an air, you just press on this and push air through here and actually push it open. Pretty cool. And of course it's a little bit small for his hand, but it can hold in there as if he's putting it into the containment unit, etc. And then here's the animated one compared to a movie version. You can see the movie one is quite a bit larger, handle is also very small. And then the cord that holds the pedal is a lot longer on the movie version, and the contraption is quite a bit different at the end as well, a little more realistic, movie-esque. There's also a third trap that I have, and it's an open one, very similar to the Ghostbusters movie version, but you can see here 3 different kinds of traps. This one is more accurate to the cartoon versus the films. Next, let's look at this guy's proton pack, and it is considerably different than the previous releases as well. As you can see here, it's blue. A lot of sort of cartoony looking buttons and knobs and meters on it. It does holster his proton weapon as well as his trap. His trap would go into this little square peg right here. And his actual proton weapon can holster in here. I believe it's intended to fit around this sort of notch in the middle. And it works best if you tuck in the bottom behind the wire and then push it in here. Sits in there pretty nicely. Here is the movie version of the proton pack. It also holsters his proton weapon, but looks considerably different, a lot more realistic. Really do like how it's cartoon accurate. Really do like how they didn't just repaint this other one blue, which is kind of what I expected them to do. So good job there, Diamond. His proton pack is also potentially removable. I have taken one from the previous wave of Ghostbusters and slid it off. Just kind of have to stretch it, pull the straps off, then stretch this part little by little downward. It is not really intended, I don't think, to come off, but it can be done without breaking it. And if you do break it, you have to glue a small piece back together. I also wanted to point out that the belt the guy is wearing, and would be really hard to slide off but could be done, is definitely considerably different from the movie version's belt. Next, let's check out his proton stream. I think it looks pretty cool. It's a nice orange with light blue sort of energy around the main stream. I believe in the show they all have the same color streams, although I could be wrong. This is probably a throwback to the Kenner series that had different colors. Once again, could be wrong, don't really remember. It's been a long time since I've handled those figures. Do be careful when taking out the package. I had a problem with my Egon one, it broke off here and I had to glue it. Still functions, but just kind of annoying. Of course, this will fit onto his proton weapon with complete ease. Just fits on the top, bam, you're done. Really nice. They've improved the quality control of these over the waves as well. I remember the very first series didn't come with the plastic piece that attached them and you had to email them to get it, which was really annoying. And then here he is sort of posed like he's getting ready to take down a ghost in his blasting position. And then here is Ray's proton stream compared to the other 4 of the real Ghostbuster streams. I do think it's really cool and unique that they're all different colors, gives kind of a little variation to your displays. And if you've been collecting Ghostbusters over the years through all the different waves, boy, you will have accumulated a lot of these things by now. It is nice to have extras. Now that we've taken a pretty in-depth look at his accessories, let's check out the height of this figure. This is a Diamond Select figure. They're all pretty much on the taller side, 7-inch scale. So this guy here looks like he's measuring up literally just about 7 inches even, pretty much 7.0 inches tall. Next, let's check out this figure's articulation. Pretty standard if you've been getting any of the Diamond Select Ghostbusters. Really hasn't changed too much over the years, just executed maybe a little bit better. So we got his head. Of course, he can go around, he can tilt, gives him some nice personality, as well as the paint job and sculpt. Pretty nice. He can look up and down that far, and up. Really not too much, but not too bad. His shoulders, they go out pretty much 90 degrees on a ball joint. He can do more or less everything you want them to do. His elbows, single jointed. The joint is covered by his sort of elbow pad pretty nicely. Can go up not quite 90 degrees. Of course, the wrist can go around, and it is hinged as well. He's got an ab crunch that's also a waist swivel. It doesn't have a traditional waist swivel down here, but his ab crunch allows him to move around quite a bit, and it does double function as a waist swivel. His legs go out just about 90 degrees. Forward about that far, back really not at all, and they can go outward and whatnot. He has a thigh cut up here, double jointed knees. Then his foot doesn't have the ability to go around, does go up and down. I really feel like it should go around, but I guess not. So that's all it can do. It can't tilt or do anything else either. Oh yeah, hold on, it can tilt. Okay, cool. Next, I want to check out the reuse between these two figures. This is the original Ghostbusters Ray. So feet, exactly the same, painted slightly differently. Uniform, very similar color. I'd say it called the same. Legs are the same. Well, I'll say they are absolutely identical figures, except for the proton pack, belt, and head. Everything else is complete reuse, slightly different paint. Yes, a real Ghostbusters 1 doesn't have this sort of wire thing or tube coming out of his pants. They've got a lot of use out of the sculpt, and you know what? I think it works. I think they did a great job executing this figure. Next, I would like to compare him to some other 6 and 7 inch action figure lines. You can see how he scales up, and then we'll check him out with some other Ghostbuster figures. Here he is next to some of his DST Diamond Select brothers. Here's a combined total of 5 different Diamond Select lines. You can see they scale up pretty nicely together. Here he is next to some 7-inch scale McFarlane toys from a few different McFarlane lines. They scale up pretty nicely with the Ghostbusters line. And then here he is next to some NECA 7-inch figures. These are also 7-inch scaled figures, but they're a little bit smaller than the Diamond or McFarlane figures. And then here he is next to some 7-inch DC figures. DC Collectibles, DC Essentials line. And then here he is next to some Mattel wrestling figures. Looks like he scales up pretty nicely with the Elite versions, but the basic versions are a little bit smaller. And then here he is next to some 6-inch scale Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. He's definitely noticeably larger than them. The one that scales up the closest being the Gotham by Gaslight Batman here. Here he is next to some 6-inch Mafex figures, and these guys are getting even increasingly smaller. And then here he is next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. These are also 6-inch scale and noticeably smaller than the Diamond Select figures. And then here he is as he would scale up next to the Mattel Ghostbusters figures. The Diamond Select ones definitely tower over the Mattel versions. Next, let's check him out next to some other Ghostbuster figures. Here he is with the rest of this series, Series 10 of the Real Ghostbusters action figure line. Here he is next to the previous series, Series 9 of Ghostbusters figures. This is the only other series of real Ghostbuster figures that they've made, and probably the only other one that is going to be made. Here he is next to all the different Diamond Select Ray figures that I have. I don't have all of them. I believe there's a Quitting Time Ray, which sort of has his shirt partially open, as well as a Marshmallow Ray. I didn't bother getting him. This is Ray from the first film, of course, Real Ghostbusters Ray. Ray from the second film and the Slime Blower. This one is a possessed Vigo head with this alternate head here. And then Ghostbusters 2, standard Ray in his darker uniform with his proton pack. These three movie ones have the same head sculpts, but they've been doing better and better paint jobs as the line has evolved. Of course, this guy is a totally new head, and it looks really cool if you ask me. And boy, it has been a long time coming, but here they are, finally, all four of the Ghostbusters in the Real Ghostbusters look from Diamond Select. It has been a really long time since they teased these figures. I'm happy to finally have them all together. I must say, Winston is probably my least favorite. Egon and Ray, boy, they look very nice. Peter was always my favorite character as a kid. But God, I think the toss-up between Ray and Egon, I think Ray might be my favorite looking one of all of them so far. And here they are, all four of them with their proton packs out, ready to bust some ghosts. Here they are taking down the ghosts that came in the two Real Ghostbuster waves. Here they are taking down another ghost-type creature in my action figure universe that works well with Ghostbuster figures. And then, of course, there's no shortage of monster and ghost-type figures that they can take down. And continuing on, there are plenty of options for action figures that could work fighting the Real Ghostbuster team. And then here's the entire Real Ghostbusters team compared to the same team from Ghostbusters 1. And then here's the Real Ghostbusters team with their Ghostbusters 2 counterparts. And then here's the Diamond Select Real Ghostbusters team next to the McFarlane Stranger Things kids in their Ghostbusters costumes. Next, let's look at Ray's Collect and Connect piece that builds the front of the Firehouse diorama. Came with another one of these bags full of these sort of reinforcers against these pegs on the back of the Firehouse diorama. They've definitely given you way more than you need to complete the Firehouse, so don't be concerned if you lose one or two. Then it comes with this. Obviously, it's a top piece. It's going to go in the very center. Cannot wait to add it in there. Here's the Firehouse as it is so far. It has the Marshmallow Man's piece attached, which was the sidewalk at the bottom. And here it is before the final Peter and Ray pieces are attached. And now here it is with Ray's piece attached. You can see this thing is almost complete. And let's go ahead and put Peter's on there and show you what it's like when it's done. And then here's the diorama piece that came with Peter, the final piece. Can't wait to put it together and see what it's like all together. And of course, this is what it looks like before the final piece that came with Peter, how it looks. And then here it is. Here is the finished product, fully assembled, 15 pieces. Been the better part of 2 years of working toward this point, and it does not disappoint. It looks great. It's very sturdy. Next, let's check out the measurements of this diorama. This is intended to go with 7-inch scale action figures. From top to bottom, this thing is at about 22.5 inches. From one side to the other side, it's sitting at just a hair below 22 inches, about 21.75 inches. And as far as how deep it is, we're sitting at right about 7 inches deep. Here is the diorama with a Ghostbuster figure in front of it. You can see just how massive and beautiful this thing is. Absolutely pleased with the end result. And as far as the diorama goes, my city's in a little bit disarray right now, but here's where the diorama currently is going to fit in my city setup. Right here on the edge of this building, got the stuff going on inside of there. Since it's mostly going to be used in my action figure setup, not specifically Ghostbusters, I probably will remove this Ghostbuster piece and just have it in the front of the city. doorway leading to who knows where. Here's the completed Firehouse diorama next to, believe it or not, 2 fully completed rooftop dioramas from series 1 through 5. I find the 2 rooftop dioramas to be absolutely amazing for my action figure world. Great for city setups, and etc., etc. And this is actually the place that the rooftop diorama from the first 5 waves of Ghostbusters hangs out. And of course, there are 2 of them in my action figure setup. You can see the size differences with these 2 dioramas. The firehouse is quite a bit taller, but the rooftop is quite a bit deeper and wider. Here's a little bit more of an aerial view so you can see how much wider the rooftop one is than the firehouse front. And you can also see just how much deeper the rooftop one is than the firehouse. All in all, I must say this figure is very nice. I like him a lot. He might be my favorite of the real Ghostbusters figures. It's probably a toss-up between him and Egon. Both have very nice heads. Although I don't like him as much as I like the actual diorama. That thing is absolutely fantastic. This guy's great. If you like the real Ghostbusters and you think you're going to like this figure, go ahead and get it. The nostalgia factor is huge. That seems to be the thing nowadays. We've got NECA doing Kenner Terminators, Kenner Aliens, Kenner Predators, Star Wars Black, and Marvel Legends doing all the throwback packaging. We've got Mattel Multiverse doing Toy Biz throwback figures upcoming. And we've got these real Ghostbuster figures as well. Highly recommend it. If I were to rate this figure, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. He's very nice, looks great. This is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comments. If you want to see additional videos from me, press subscribe. Look for my review of Peter next, and then I'll be reviewing the diorama itself. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.